Oh, Hawaii is just it's just rain. Rain, and more rain. One thing about Hawaii is that sometimes it'll just rain randomly for 2 minutes and then it'll stop. And it could be sunny, it could be a great day, but it'll just rain. And it's just the most random thing ever. We did have a couple hurricane warnings, nothing too big. We were really, really blessed because Hawaii doesn't really get a lot of, natural disasters like that very often. But we did have we had 3 hurricane warnings when I was there towards the end of my mission. The Big Island, I had left right before this happened, but it is where the volcano is, and so the volcano is erupting, and it was leaking lava. Lava was coming out, and it was going towards a town on that island, and so they had to cut off that town and evacuate a lot of people. And so that's one of the craziest things I've heard. It's we don't really get a lot of, not too many tsunamis and a couple of hurricane warnings, but the lava flow is is interesting. Oh, it has to be from the Filipinos. I love the Filipino food, but I never ask what's in it. But I helped skin a butcher a cow, and the Filipinos, they don't just eat the meat, they eat everything else too. And so cow intestines, cow heart, all that fun stuff. They also have something called pork blood, which is pork with the pork blood over it. Yeah, interesting things. But good food, you just don't ask what's in it. About the Hawaiians, they're really, I don't know if it's the island feel or something, but they do believe in spirits, and they believe in ghosts, and they talk about it a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons why they have a really eerie feeling sometimes, especially when you go to the outer islands. But I was in my last area, which is on Oahu, and it was on Oahu, and we tracked it into this couple, and we were teaching them, and they weren't even from Hawaii, they were from New Jersey. So we were talking to them, and all of a sudden he brings up that his wife has a little friend that's a spirit or a ghost, and she started talking to us about her hearing footsteps on the upper floors, and every time, this is a testimony to me, because every time we tried to teach the restoration, it took us 3 hours to teach the restoration, because every time we taught it, we would go on with it, something weird would happen. The lights would start flickering, the dogs would start barking, they would get distracted by something else, and they would come back, and it was just a really eerie feeling. And I don't know if, because I was a missionary, I could really feel that and really know that something was wrong. But some crazy things like that happen all the time, and we just have to know just to laugh it off. And we were creeped out for a day or so, but after that we were just like, no, it's fine, it's okay, we're protected, Heavenly Father will protect us. But yeah. One of my investigators was having a really hard time, and her daughter had gotten baptized about a month before, and her name is Brandy, and Brandy is an incredible woman. Like, she did drugs and meth, crack, all that stuff, and smoked really heavily and did all these really bad things. But when we introduced the gospel to her family, she really changed, and really it really made a difference in her life. And so we had promised her the day before Sunday that we would come and stop by on Monday, and Monday was our P day. And so sometimes we're really protective of our P days, of our preparation days, and we had an appointment at about 6:30. P days ended at 6, and so we were on our way home to drop off our groceries before we went to our appointment at 6:30. And so it was about 6:15, 6:20, and we were going to be late for our appointment. And I turned to my companion, because she had been on my mind the whole day, and I said, hey, maybe we should go visit Brandy real fast before we go to our appointment. And she was like, well, we're gonna be late, and you know how our member doesn't really like it when we're late, and things like that. And I was like, okay, fine. And so, kind of pouted a little bit, and then my companion goes, okay, well, maybe we should go. She could have been waiting for us for the whole day. Drop off our groceries, we went over and visited her. And as we were coming up, she got really excited. She was sitting on her porch. She got really, really excited. We walked up and she said, do you know what happened? She said that night she had a dream that her daughter had, hit her and slapped her and said she wasn't worth it. She wasn't worth the gospel. And I think, Satan was just working really hard on her, telling her things that weren't true, that we didn't care about her, the sister missionaries didn't care about her, that no one cared about her, that she wasn't worth the gospel and things like that. And so she prayed and she told God to bring the sister missionaries, and that if the sister missionaries didn't come, she wouldn't believe anymore in God. And so she told us that, and I was about to hurl, because if we had not gone up, everything would have changed. Everything would have been so different. And just listening to the Spirit, that was the most frightening and also one of the most spiritual experiences that I've had, because I learned that we weren't wrong. Everything we do or think isn't ever wrong. As long as it doesn't feel wrong, it's not wrong. And so, just don't be afraid to go and do something, because even if it doesn't work out the way that you're thinking, it still isn't wrong. It's still part of Heavenly Father's plan. And so whatever feeling that you're feeling, as long as it's not wrong and your companion agrees, just go and do it, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if it was between believing in God and not believing in God. And, those experiences, I didn't really have a lot of those, but that one was just a testimony to me that we do have the Spirit. Missionaries, they do have that mantle that really helps them to further their work. One of the best skills has to be communicating with other people. I think a lot of people have problems with that, because they feel like, oh, I don't want to offend people, or I don't want to hurt their feelings, I don't want to come across as this or that. But being able to articulate words or communicate in a way that allows people to really know what you're talking about, and also working with other people. You're with a companion 24 hours, 7 days a week. It gets kind of rough sometimes. Get kind of sick of them. But being able to say to my companion, like, I don't like it when you do this, or I like it when you do this, in a way that the two of you are able to work together and cooperate, and that's all. That when that happens, that's when the Spirit comes. That's when the Spirit really works. That's when you have the companionship unity. And I was able to have that with a couple of my companions. Not only did we get along really well, but we were able to be honest with each other and say, you know what, I don't agree with you because this. And it's okay to not agree. It's okay to compromise. You're working with somebody else for a really long time, and so that's some things that I've learned. I think one of the hardest experiences that I don't really tell a lot of people, but it'll be helpful for some of you. But towards the end of my mission, I had a crisis with the fact that I had never trained anybody or been in a leadership position, and that was really hard for me because I was a person throughout my teenage years that I was part of the youth council, and I was on the class presidencies. I was heavily involved in organizing things for school and also for the church, and to come on my mission and not have that was really hard for me. It wasn't hard for some people, but it was hard for me, and I was frustrated because I was like, well, I felt like Heavenly Father didn't trust me, or my mission president didn't trust me enough to hand me a new missionary or have me be in charge of other sisters and their well-being. And it's something that, like, 5 months later after my mission, I'm still working on, because I still don't know why, and I have to be okay with not knowing why. And I'm still working on that. I think that was one of the hardest experiences, because I just felt not a failure, but I had wanted to make a difference as a missionary, and I felt like I hadn't had that, and I wasn't able to pass on my knowledge to anybody else to be able to make that difference. And so my companions helped me a lot, and just thinking about it, and lots of prayers and things like that. But that's really one thing that anybody has to really remember, is that Heavenly, as I said, Heavenly Father has a plan. He always has a plan. But sometimes I'm not okay with that plan. And so I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with also not knowing why. And I'm pretty sure I won't figure out why till a lot later, or maybe even when I go up to heaven and ask God, like, why did that happen? But that really is a good value, I guess, to learn as throughout life, is that you don't have to know why things happen, because things happen the way it happens. Yeah. Oh, best advice for returned missionaries. That's hard, because I'm still adjusting. But I think the best advice I could give is to take one thing at a time. Not to take in all the changes and try to change everything at the same time, but to take one thing at a time. Keep yourself busy always, because when you have nothing to do, I think that's when that's when it's hardest. My family, I think, had a hard time with the old me and the new me and the missionary me, and trying to get everything, and I had a hard time with it too. But just to take one thing at a time, just look at each aspect of your life and say, okay, what do I want to keep? What do I want to change? What do I want to mesh together with the old me and the missionary me, and to keep some habits from the mission. My stake president told me that my mission is basically preparation for the rest of your life, and so to take things from your mission and apply it into your life.